Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to the season finale, season 6 finale of Ruthless Talk, and the first ever Ruthless Talk award show. That is right. Brian, I know you like that drum roll. I know you like that little intro, right?
You know, it just dawned on me, like, I don't even want to see, you make all the video clips. I don't even want to see them before you do it. I'd rather just get my genuine reaction, because that's good, man.
There you go. Appreciate you, man. And hopefully everybody that's watching this as well appreciates the little clips that I do enter in and then I do edit out. So appreciate that, my man. So today is a big show, man. So again, it's bittersweet. This is our final show of season number 6. But the good news is that there's going to be a lot of juicy stuff once we do come back. Our first episode when we do come back will be Monday Night Raw's first episode on Netflix. And there's a lot already going on with that show. There was already a big press release with many superstars from WWE that was released out, people along the lines of Seth Rollins and Punk, as they got a big matchup. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the main event of that said show. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I'm sure many of you who have seen me on social media, how I feel about that situation, but we're going to get to that one way or the other down the line moving forward. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley are going to go at it for that said show, as well as Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa in a tribal chief combat, pretty much for that Unafala necklace. So all of that's going to go down. Plus, people like John Cena, who's going to be making his return, starting his farewell tour, and many other things, man. A special return, a special debut that's also in the works as well, from what I'm hearing. So obviously it's I guess you can say, for similar to what what AEW does, one of those big marquee weekly pay-per-view events. That's kind of how this is going to go along. It's the first episode of the streaming service. And, listen, man, now we've talked about it now for over the last several months, and we're here. We're approaching that specific day now, and I just hope nothing for the best, man. I expect a lot of success because of John Cena's retirement tour. There's going to be a lot of people watching, tuning in, and then moving forward, man, I wish nothing but the best, man. I really want this to work. I do want the product to change. Hopefully that's the case, and we'll see what happens moving forward. So, but let's get real quick
on that, man. I mean, just for the wrestling audience, I really expect this, the debut. They're going to go all out. This is going to be, at least for this year.
Oh, absolutely.
The second biggest wrestling event, second to WrestleMania. This is the dawn of a new time in wrestling. They're going to bring out all the stars, all the, will be in this calendar year, probably the second biggest thing that happens in wrestling all year long. So
also, real quick, before we get into these awards and what's going to go down, I'll give you guys the rules and what's going to go down with that. But first things first, shout out to Bald Bro, aka Brett Vargas, who was on our last episode just last week, as we covered Saturday night's main event, along with Toni Storm and her return, a little bit of AEW, and some New York Mets, some baseball talk. So all of that went down from last week. So if you guys haven't checked it out, it's on all of our platforms. It is on Spotify. It is on Apple Podcasts. And it is on YouTube and all of our platforms right now. So again, shout out to Ball Bro. If you guys want to check out that video, that episode, make sure you guys go check that out when you guys can. All right, so let's get into some end of the year awards. Now, this is an episode, Brian, to where we don't really emphasize a whole lot in regards to how we personally feel of who delivered this year, who delivered this and who reached the expectations and who truly was the breakout star, who was truly the face of 2024 in regards to pro wrestling. Now, this will be specifically WWE related. Now, if you guys are wondering, what about AEW? What about NXT? We got y'all. Trust me, we got y'all. It's going to be on our social medias. We plan on making separate videos and all of those uploads for who we think is Superstar of the Year, Female Superstar of the Year for AEW. All of that will be coming up on our social medias. You guys see the banner down below. Make sure you follow us on social media at Ruthless_Talk. We will be giving out awards for AEW. I will also be giving out awards for NXT. That will also be in the works as well, so make sure you guys stay tuned for it. But as for this episode today, this will be about WWE's main roster and main roster only for today. We got match of the year. We got feud of the year. We got tag team of the year, breakout stars, as well as, of course, the male and female superstar of 2024. So me and Brian do have separate winners. We do have separate awards to give out. We also have nominees as well as honorable mentions that we will mention in this episode as well. So without further ado, let's dive into this, man. Let's start off with our first award. Our first award will be Feud of the Year. Brian, I'm going to let you start, man. Your nominations, your honorable mentions, as well as your winner for Feud of the Year for WWE in 2024, man. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the floor, man. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to give out some honorable mentions here. I mean, even as recently as this KO and Cody feud, I think is really starting to pick up, especially on KO's end. So, I mean, I am liking that, but I think it's a little too late in the year, for something like that. Of course, you could always go back to the bloodline, and they've had ups and downs. Jey Uso, Sami Zayn's been in some great feuds, but for my feud of the year, and I really don't think it's really, I think this is head and shoulders above everything across wrestling, and that is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. This feud, and I got to give a shout out, and I'll touch on Drew here a little bit later on as well. But man, if we go back to earlier in the year, you have to remember that Drew sold it. Punk was gone. And Drew was selling this like for a couple months, and he was fucking killing it. So Punk gets healed. You have the promos, you have everything leading up and what makes a great feud, and then you have the matches. And the way that feud ended, that's how you end a feud like that. So for all those reasons, for Punk and Drew, for what they did throughout the year. For what Drew especially did on his own for months. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is easily, hands down, the feud of the year for me.
Nice, man. No, very, very, very good pick as well. Very, very nice. And let me get to my feud of the year. Now, I will go over my nominees. So one of my nominees, yes, is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, it's honestly a no-brainer. I mean, if you want to talk feud of the year, I mean, even if it's not your number one, it's definitely up there. And it was all for a bracelet. I mean, and that's honestly, I also put this feud on just the performers itself, right? Because this feud, this entire storyline, starting all the way, I mean, let's face it, from the Royal Rumble till now. And it did have its blunders with the briefcase, which I didn't really think was needed. Drew McIntyre was used as a tweener at times, but majority of this feud, for what the performers were able to do for what's been given to them, to feud over a bracelet out of all things, they just made it work because them two just gelled so well together. So CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is my first nominee. My second nominee is Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Now, I get it as of right now. It hasn't been really having any legs to stand on right now, and I'm honestly glad, and I mentioned this in the Saturday Night's Main Event review, that they should honestly just get it done and out the way for Monday Night Raw's first episode on Netflix, and that's what they're doing. And it's unfortunate because of, Rhea Ripley's injury, and then they kind of had to stretch this out a little bit than they would have liked. But throughout the summer and majority of this year, man, both of these ladies have killed it. And it's been the only feud for the women's division that has any type of relevancy. Right. And it's also impacted Liv Morgan and finally kind of breaking the ceiling of superstardom. And then you have Rhea Ripley, who on the same time, to where she has been a decent heel with the Judgment Day, but this type of feud is what catapulted her now and what's to come in this babyface role that she's going to be playing in over the next probably several months, years, most likely.
Yep.
And then my third nominee is that I have to mention it is Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline as a whole. Even though, again, and I've said it like a broken record on this platform for 2+ years, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 should have happened. And we're going to talk a lot about that whole situation and how potentially Rock and Roman Reigns is going to be stretched to another fucking year, which, again, is a different discussion for a different day. But the way that The Rock came back and he inserted himself, and the segment that ended Monday Night Raw just a couple moons ago from backstage, and The Rock just beating the shit out of Cody Rhodes, man, and just adding life and substance into that story, even with Roman Reigns, to where that whole matchup just kind of felt like an afterthought. But it was The Rock that added a spark, that it was what the Bloodline feud has been missing for a very, very long time. So kudos to The Rock for this nomination, but definitely Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline itself for the moments, right? It hasn't been consistent, but for the moments that it was for this entire calendar year, definitely deserve the nomination. However, there can only be one winner, and my winner for WWE's Feud of the Year, it goes to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Yes, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, like you said, Brian, it's honestly the matches and everything else, and just, again, how these two have gelled together and how this entire feud has felt very real and very organic in a way. And I think that that's just what takes the cake out of all of these other feuds. And we can go down the line of maybe other feuds that we're forgetting, right? I honestly would have put Chad Gable and Otis as a nominee, but the fact that whole
it just fell apart. Yeah, they had something.
And now they're trying to rectify it. Is now they're already having Chad Gable and Otis trying to go at it again. Hey, Triple H, you're a little too late, by the way, but that's also a different discussion. But back to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, man. I know we have things to say about CM Punk and what he did many moons ago when he left the company and putting a bad taste in everybody's mouth of what he said about pro wrestling, and he's never going to come back to pro wrestling. But we all knew that this is where CM Punk belongs. I said that many moons ago, man. This is where he belongs. He needed structure. He needed a place like WWE. And it seems like that himself and Triple H, they've kind of just let bygones be bygones of what's happened with their past and with their previous history. And with Drew McIntyre, as well as with Seth Rollins, and hopefully they got something cooking. I have no faith in that, but we'll see what happens. But putting, that personal animosity aside and to create something just really special, man. And again, all for a bracelet. And I think that that's what deserves the most kudos out of everything, to where maybe creatively it wasn't, anything beyond, but it was the performers of what they were able to do to deliver and to make this feud that much more special. And it truly reminded us how good CM Punk is and putting him in the best position possible. And again, man, just of how everything real it felt to Drew McIntyre, and just on social media and just continuously digging at CM Punk and doing all of this shit on social media and using that to your advantage to tell a story. And I fucking love it, man. And I really wish that, wrestlers and talents kind of use that social media platform to their advantage a lot more. But again, man, can't praise this enough. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, just like Brian, is also my feud of the year for WWE in 2024. So, but much love and salute to both Drew McIntyre and to CM Punk. So that is our first award for feud of the year. Now, for the match of the year. Match of the year candidate is our next award. Brian, what are your nominations and who is your winner for match of the year for WWE?
So yeah, I can't really. I just focused on one. I mean, there's been so many. I could go down the list of great matches. I mean, Cody's been in Rhodes or Roman. Hell, even Rhea, Liv, all those. But I do kind of tie this, for me personally, I tie somewhat the match of the year also into the feud of the year. While they can be different, I think this is just a year where for me, they both just lined up together.
Yeah.
So drum roll, please. And my match of the year is Bad Blood, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Nice.
You know, that match, again, because of the feud, which, let me back up. It's very hard to sustain a feud that long. And as you said, you know, there were laws, there were little miscues along the way, and you know, peaks and valleys, of course. Um, but when you get that type of interaction, where they've had multiple matches, multiple promo interactions, all these types of things, it's very hard to have that, you know, sustain that level of intensity, you know, viewer engagement, and to get it to that point, to have that bad blood type of a match, to that is how you blow off and end a feud of that nature. So for those reasons, the way they ended that feud with that match, and it was a good match all the way through. You know, it wasn't, you know, the match itself stands, you know, it's not just because of the story. The match itself was also really, really fucking good. But for those reasons, yeah, the feud of the year, it capped off with the match of the year. It was really, really fucking good.
Nice. Very nice, man. Absolutely. Well, for match of the year for me, man, I mean, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is a nominee for me as match of the year. And it was at Bad Blood, as well as for Bash in Berlin and the strap match that they had as well. Both of those matches are nominees, as well as Bayley versus Io Sky. This was WrestleMania 40. Those two had a tremendous. It's again unfortunate that the buildup wasn't the greatest. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't deliver for a lot of people. So I do kind of have to kind of bring that up in regards to the matchup itself. But Bayley and Io Sky did, for the match itself and what it was, those ladies deserve their praise. And of course, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. That was night 2 of WrestleMania. Just again, even though a lot of that spotlight and a lot of that spark was with The Rock, but for what that matchup was, man, it was overbooked as shit with the Undertaker and The Rock. But again, the cultivating moment for Cody Rhodes was definitely a very special moment. It would have been bigger at WrestleMania 39. I still stand by that.
It would have, hands down, would have. Yep,
absolutely. But with that whole matchup and the fact that it was overbooked, because when you do overbook matches like that, it could get messy. But sometimes when you overbook stuff, it just sometimes you appreciate that because there's effort put into it. And that's kind of on top of Cody Rhodes and getting that crowning moment of winning that championship. And we all know it had to be the case. There's no way you could have kept stretching that out, you know, moving forward into this calendar year. So just on top of that and Cody Rhodes winning the title, I just thought just everything was just came across of everything. Just all of the variety of stuff in a match, you know, the craziness, the wildness of professional wrestling, as well as the matchup itself. You know, the match, I mean, both Cody and Roman, just that chemistry that they do have,
absolutely,
I think is just really top notch. And then some other nominations, man. I have Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable at Clash at the Castle, man.
Another excellent match.
Itself, and obviously, yes, they've fought many, many times in the past, but not just that, but of course, that was when Otis and Chad Gable and that whole animosity was at its peak, man. It's unfortunate how that spark died down. It was just a shove, and Triple H decided not to even go back to that, just decided to rush a feud with the Wyatt Six and American Made, and we know how that turned out. But the look on Chad Gable's face, man, and just how pissed he was, and there was so much, you know, buzz, and there was so much anticipation of what Chad Gable was going to do, just staring menacingly at Otis like, what the did you just do? Cost me this championship. So Chad Gable and of course Sami Zayn deserve their praise, as well as Sami Zayn and Gunther, also from WrestleMania 40, putting on a really good matchup at WrestleMania. Of course, Sami Zayn being the one to dethrone Gunther, and being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, being Gunther for 666 days. Even though the ending had a little bit of a botch, a very ugly botch, but majority of the match, man, Those two freaking crushed it. And the crowd was slowly getting into it as the match went on. So everybody deserves their flowers. And again, everybody deserves their praise. So those are the matches that kind of really stuck out to me, as I'm sure a lot of people. But again, there can only be one winner. And my winner for match of the year in 2024, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 is my match of the year, man. So yes, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre was definitely heavily considered. I really wanted to give CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and this was not an easy decision to make. But what took the edge again with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns is just, the cultivating moment of Cody and him finishing the story, right? And
right.
Everything else with Cena, Undertaker, and The Rock. Was it weird? Was it out of left field? Was it left field with a hockey stick? No question about it. But it's those types of overbooked matches to where when it's done right, it's memorable and it gets a lot of people talking the next day. And I feel like that's what it accomplished. Same goes for Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. But I just believe that matchup and being WrestleMania and being Cody Rhodes' epic moment, winning that championship on the biggest stage of them all, that's WrestleMania, I think just has earned just that slight edge over what amazing work that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre did for Bad Blood, as well as for Bash in Berlin, that strap match as well. So yeah, man. So even though, again, it wasn't WrestleMania 39, I still stand by that to this day. And I feel like, once this continues to draw out with The Rock and Roman Reigns, because I'm telling y'all, don't be shocked if a lot of people are not as emotionally invested into that matchup next year than they were the previous years, man, because of how much you're kind of stretching this out. But for what that matchup was specifically, everything that went on, just the buzz and the reactions from Undertaker coming out and The Rock and Cena, even Seth Rollins, of course, I forgot to mention that, him being the shield to Cody Rhodes and kind of symbolizing the whole.
He was actually my most memorable part of that match was Seth.
Yeah, absolutely. And
not to take anything away from Roman and Cody, of course, but
of course, absolutely, man. So when you kind of add that into it as well, and along with all the other epic moments, to where yes, it was random, but I'm sorry, man. When you overbook matches like that, for me, like it's pretty damn cool when you do it correctly, and this was done correctly. And it's, for Cody Rhodes himself, after that matchup was all said and done, this title reign hasn't been the greatest. I mean, let's be honest. They've pretty much have botched this title reign because, again, he should have won it last year because people like Brock and people like many others would have made more sense to feud against Cody Rhodes. But that's the decision that they made. And for that moment itself, outside of everything else, just being on the grandest stage, that's WrestleMania, I think just deserves that edge, or has earned that edge over all of these other nominations. So kudos to Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Kudos, of course, to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk again. So though that is my match of the year of 2024.
Hey, Jay, all right. Let's take a little detour if you got a minute, if you don't mind, because I haven't mentioned this in our podcast, but this it really fucking bothers me within wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're set up now for Roman and Solo on night one, right? And fine, you're booking the match. It's a big match. You want the eyeballs, right? I got it. And I get storyline and wrestling and whatever. James, we're having this match because of the Unafala, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Roman and his bloodline just leave them laying at War Games? Where was the Unafala?
They sure did.
And how many times has Roman left? And I know it's been teased. He's picked it up a few times. But at this point, he has left Solo legs so many times where he could have just grabbed the Unafala.
Yeah.
And so that's, I haven't said anything about it, but Jesus, man, come on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it? I mean, I know we're having the match now and this is for the Unafala, but I'm just looking at it like, you should have grabbed that Unafala at War Games.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more, honestly. And I've stated that the same thing, man. Like, for this, that's why I think a lot of people too are just more interested in Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, because with Roman Solo, like there's no legs to stand on outside of that Unafala necklace. That also just doesn't really add up to like what you just mentioned, right? It's just nobody's just that invested into it. I'm like, all right, cool. He's gonna spear him again, like he speared him at SummerSlam, and how he speared him at Survivor Series War Games, and now gonna grab that Unafala necklace again, and then this time he's gonna have it around his neck, and he's gonna have Paul Heyman maybe by his side, or whatever other extra stuff that they may have. Maybe it's The Rock, and maybe to kick things off. I highly doubt that. Maybe it's Drew McIntyre.
I know The Rock is going to play a part in it, and I assume that's why they're kind of doing it this way.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm just storyline wise, right? You got Solo's bloodline and Roman's bloodline. You just had a fucking War Games match, tribe versus tribe, and I get you're the leaders, but this tribe beat your tribe. Grab the
Roman pinned Solo.
And Roman pinned Solo. Like,
so we need to see him get pinned again, and then this time he's officially once again the tribal chief, and he's gonna put that. Yeah, come on, man. I mean,
just think, that should have if the Unafala thing that should have ended at War Games. But I digress.
No, absolutely, man. I completely agree. But at least for like a one-on-one matchup, I'm glad that they're just getting it done now, like Roman and Solo. Like, just get it out the way. The same thing with Rhea Ripley and with Liv Morgan, man. If you're gonna finish off this trilogy, just do it on the first episode of Netflix, man. Just get it done and out the way. And that's why I mentioned Seth Rollins and Punk, man, to where you're going to rush that matchup, because right now, from what we're hearing from Sean Ross and from Fightful, is that the plan is to get Punk and Roman at WrestleMania. Correct me if I'm wrong too, Brian. I wanted to ask you this question. Aren't CM Punk and Roman Reigns faces right now? They're pretty much faces. So you're going to probably turn what? Probably Punk heel? I don't know why you would want to turn Punk. I mean, I
don't think you could turn Roman heel again. Like,
that's the thing. So Punk is probably going to turn heel unless they have a way for it to make sense, because they keep stretching this out, this whole favor that Punk has, or that Paul Heyman has for Punk, which we kind of, or at least want to assume that it's a WrestleMania main event, or at least an opportunity to get there, right? But I just find it hard to believe that we need to rush not just Seth Rollins and Punk, but also Roman Reigns and Punk, to where you could have let that drop at SummerSlam. Like SummerSlam, night 1 or night 2, since that's going to be a 2-night event, you can do CM Punk and Roman Reigns, to where the Punk turn makes a lot more sense, because there's a lot more time to do that. You're going to have Punk turn within the span of 3 to 4 months, when he's already pretty much kind of one of your top faces right now in the company, when you don't really have a whole lot of baby faces right now, because we expect Seth Rollins to pretty much turn, and maybe I'm guessing we're assuming aligning himself with people like Drew and with people like Kevin Owens. And who knows, man, with this whole Drew McIntyre situation, don't be shocked too if Drew McIntyre inserts himself with this whole Roman situation, because the fact that he's going after members of the bloodline and people who team with Roman Reigns. He's already taken out Sammy.
Well, I mean, the head of it stops with Roman. I mean,
it stops with Roman Reigns. So I don't know if they would have that matchup Saturday night's main event for January 25th, or if they're going to continue to let that draw out for however long. But to make a long story short, man, again, there's just things to where, like you said, Brian, with Roman and Solo, things are just not adding up to a certain degree. And even for Seth Rollins and Punk, and I get it, it's already been like a year, to where, like, especially for Punk and the fact with his age and his injury history, you don't want to kind of like risk another injury happening to where you're going to have to call an audible once again. I get it, man. But for you to not have this matchup, the first matchup at WrestleMania, to where it should be that first impression, it's Seth and it's Punk, to not have that at Mania because you need to get to Punk and Roman. I'm sorry, man. That's garbage to me. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how how it does play out, because it's Punk Seth, Roman, and Heyman. Like those four, right?
Yeah.
And there's Shield ties. There's the promise, that the Heyman made to Punk. It's all. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm not like. Even if they have this match at day one or whatever, the Netflix, whatever. I also like. I don't know who, heel, face, turn, whatever. It's just something will happen at Mania, just involving the promise to Punk. Seth Rollins, again, it's weird. I don't know how it's going to tie in, but I still see something going down at Mania with all those four. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And then again, the thing is, people want to tell me too, well, James, it's going to be a trilogy. It's clearly not going to stop at the first Raw on Netflix. Well, sure. But why does everything need to be a trilogy now? We've done a trilogy
Right.
with Liz and Rhea. We've done a trilogy with Punk and Drew. So we need to manufacture the same exact process now with Seth.
It's almost now like, within the wrestling world. It's almost kind of like, to make it mean something, you have to have that trilogy, which it doesn't. You don't.
No, it doesn't at all. Right. And you kind of see and I'm just saying, and because of the fact that we're hearing these rumors from Fightful and stuff, and granted, again, we take it with a grain of salt, no question, but the way that they're just going about it, man, it doesn't shock me if this is the case for WWE, because I can already see for how they're already booking this with Seth and CM Punk, is that Triple H is already slowly starting to turn a corner with this feud. Like he wants to kind of just let this chapter of Punk and Rollins be like the final chapter. And now we get to Punk and Roman in this whole favor that Paul Heyman has. That's how I truly feel, because all you had from this past Monday was just another brawl, the same brawl that you see nonsensically every single week when Triple H books a wrestling show. It's brawls backstage, it's brawls in the ring, it's brawls outside of the ring. That is the MO for Triple H. And I truly feel, because of that and the fact that spark that we had not too long ago, and shoot, even after Survivor Series or going into Survivor Series, to where you could have done so much with Seth and with Punk to reignite that and to reignite that going into Mania. But now you're going this Paul Heyman favor route, which could be good. I'm not saying it's not going to be.
Right.
But man, you needed to finish this off. You needed to reignite that spark first before you get to that chapter. So I just don't like the fact that we're rushing these matchups. I don't like the fact that we're fast tracking stuff. It just doesn't add up, man. It truly doesn't.
I hear you. Yep.
So,
sure.
But anyway, that's our little break.
Our little detour.
Back
to the awards.
Let's get back to our awards, man. So, Tag Team of the Year. Now, I guess I should announce. I guess I'll go first, because I know, Brian, you're very, again, same as me, right? The tag team division, man. Let's just face it. It's been horrible, and it's no fault to any of these tag teams on the main roster, right? You have the Bloodline, you have the Judgment Day, you have DIY, you have the Street Profits, you have A-Town Down Under, as ridiculous
Viking
as
Raiders or Viking. Well, I don't know
what
they are.
War Raiders.
War Raiders. Yeah.
War Raiders now. They're called War Raiders, and they won tag titles. Okay, cool. I got more to say about that again in the future, but so again, it's really not even the fault to any of these teams, man. It is just the booking, to where I can't even. It's hard to pick a winner when the booking hasn't backed up any of these teams, man.
Yep.
However, before I get to you, Brian, and discussing the tag team division itself, I do have a winner. And I know I mentioned main roster and main roster only, but for this award, this is nobody on the main roster. Ladies and gentlemen, my winner for Tag Team of the Year goes to from NXT, Nathan Frazier and Axiom from NXT. That is right. The only tag team in this company that has been carrying any sort of weight and any sort of relevancy. So if you guys don't know who Nathan Frazier and Axiom are, I'm sure you guys hear me say that and you're like, James, who the fuck is a Nathan Frazier? Who's an Axiom? Well, guys, if you don't know who those two are, I highly advise you to watch YouTube clips, go on Peacock, do whatever you got to do, man, because these two as a tag team have gelled so well together. Their personalities gel, and they're just a damn solid, good tag team. They just click and they connect on all cylinders, man. They have held on to these NXT tag titles now twice. They're two-time NXT tag champions. Their first reign went on for 126 days, and now they are the current NXT champions, NXT tag champions, now for 109 days and counting, man. So they've put on the likes of many matches through Heat Wave, Vengeance Day, you name the NXT PLE, they've been on it, they've delivered. And again, just the chemistry that they have backstage in these segments, I think that they're a mixture of, the high flying, right? The move sets and all, but it's more than that though. But it's how they gel together. It's also how they pull off some of these backstage segments, right? These promo segments that they do have. It's like peanut butter and jelly, man. Like I always say, man, it's that type of vibe. So if you guys don't really watch much of NXT, man, when it comes to tag team wrestling this year, those two guys, man, have truly have delivered of what's been given to them. And kudos to Shawn Michaels, over in NXT for booking them just properly and booking them as a just dominant and fun tag team to watch, because they have been very, very fun to watch. And shoot, I honestly just want them to stay in NXT for as long as they can, because I know they'll probably end up going.
They'll get ruined
eventually, and they're gonna just, maybe they might win.
Change your name, change your look, change your gimmick, everything.
Right, right, exactly. So again, and this is no shade to any of the other tag teams on the main roster, right? It's, again, the people like the Street Profits, the DIYs, the Bloodlines, the Judgment Days, man. But the unfortunate thing is that there's been no storylines. The booking has been all over the place. We talk tournaments, we talk this, we talk that. The only tag team that has any legs to stand on is this tag team, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. And so, because it's our award show, listen, I can spin the rules up a little bit. So listen, it's, fair play with that. But so Brian, what are your takes, man, about that? And if you do have a winner, feel free to announce it. But if not, what are your takes about that?
Yeah, much like everything you said, man. I mean, I just feel like within WWE, the main roster specifically, I do know the tag team you're talking about. But I haven't seen enough of them. I don't watch NXT enough.
That's fair.
So yeah, I mean, much like you, I mean, just look. I mean, we've been through reboots, rebrands. Are you breaking up? Are you getting back together? You get the title. You get the title. Tournament. All the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, yeah, like there's nobody, no tag team that's set apart themselves from anybody else. There's nobody that really has a good storyline going or consistent or anything.
Nothing.
And like you said too, like none of this really is there's talent all over the roster. It's really just 100% the booking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's just not who I mean who
It's
and I don't want to go off on a tangent too much, but like I remember growing up in the 80s, right? And of course Vince was running the show back then. And maybe, this is just me as a kid, and maybe he was always this way and I just didn't see it. But I look back to that age, right? And I see teams like the Hart Foundation, Demolition, the Rockers, the Killer Bees. I mean, the Rick Martel and crap, I can't think of who he teamed up with. But anyway, a lot of great tag teams. Like, I mean, they really were. And then somewhere along the line, Vince gets the idea of like, hey, why am I paying 4 guys to do a match as opposed to just 2 guys? I don't know, or if there was a mentality shift or whatever.
Yeah.
But tag team wrestling, I mean, for 20 years now, really has been largely irrelevant under Vince. I mean, you've had the Usos and, yes, they've come up, but, it's just, and I haven't seen enough of Triple H yet or endeavor to believe anything is going to change with tag team wrestling in that aspect, but I really hope it does, because tag team wrestling can be really, really fucking good. Like I don't understand this mentality of like why it just has to be the individual, the IC title or the world title. Sure, everybody strives for that, whatever, but
Right.
at the expense of the tag team division with so much talent there, I don't understand. But
Yeah.
so for those reasons, I mean, I just don't have a winner. Like there's a lot of talent. People have had, moments throughout the year, but very short lived. So yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree. So yeah. So at least for me, I have my winner for tag team of the year. But Brian, for you to not have a winner, it's very, trust me, it's very understandable. So it's unfortunate in that regard. But listen, again, much love to all of these tag teams, though, man. Again,
Yeah.
Wise, the Street Profits, the Judgment Day, like you said, there's talent. They got the War Raiders, right, and so many other teams. And maybe I'm forgetting off the top of my head, right? There's talent there. We talked about again the New Day and their turn not too long ago. That
Yeah. Right.
headlines. Just that the booking has been just non-existent. The flip-flopping of titles to where even the titles don't even feel prestigious at all.
It's so evident that nobody there gives a shit. And
Nobody.
from Vince, maybe Triple H still doesn't give a shit. I don't know. But yeah, they don't care about tag team wrestling,
No,
man.
no, absolutely not. No, it's unfortunate, man. But all right, man, let's move on to our next award. Our next award, we have our breakout stars. We will start off with our female breakout star of 2024. This will be a good one. Brian, who is your winner, man? And who are your not honorable mentions for this award, man? The floor is yours. Take it away.
So I'm just gonna go with one honorable mention, and it might be, I don't know if I can really put her in a breakout star per se, but I'm gonna put her in this anyway. And that's Io Sky. Um, and I put her there because I mean she, we all know what she did at NXT. She's been down here as a tag team wrestler, part of Damage Control and all that stuff. But I finally feel now that she has, and I hope she stays there, but she's elevated herself now as a single star in and around the main event picture, the world title picture. So in that way, I'm gonna kind of give an honorable mention to Io Sky.
Mm-hmm.
But for my breakout star, it's Tiffany Stratton, man. Tiffy time, baby. It is Tiffy time. Um, she's good on the mic, and again, I mean, maybe I don't know if it's one. Maybe even Tiffany has surpassed the moonsault on Io. I mean, those two women pulling off that move. Wow, it's a thing of beauty, man.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, Tiffany coming on the scene. And you can see they're really trying to give her the push with the Money in the Bank. She's been in the tournament with was it the IC or the US title? I can't remember which one, but
The IC women's title. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I mean she's good on the mic, she delivers in the ring. So yeah, for my breakout star, it's definitely Tiffany Stratton. I think she's really had a hell of a year, man, and I hope she continues it in 2025.
Very nice. Very, very nice, my man. So, my nominees for Breakout Star of the Year. I actually was very torn with this. I'm actually not going to lie, man. There's two names that kind of I was back and forth with, but I'll start with my other two nominees and honorable mentions. My first one is Nia Jax. Nia Jax, who has had 62 matches this year. She has won 50 of them, so she has a current win-loss record this year of 31-31. Good old 50-50 booking, right, from Triple H, Paul Levesque. But with all that being said, man, Nia Jax, to where last year you can argue to where a lot of people didn't really give two shits about a Nia Jax, to where she ended up was released from the company and they gave her a second chance. She's came back and she's made the most of it. And now she's your current women's champion right now over on SmackDown. So I think for a
And Queen of the Ring.
for somebody that has again was a worker that, and I get it, she's a bigger woman outside of maybe a few other smaller females that may be into a degree unfair for Nia Jax, but she is starting to get better with the little things that she wasn't so good at a year or two ago. So I will, in regards to breaking out into superstardom, I think Nia Jax does deserve that credit. Jade Cargill is my second nominee. Jade Cargill, who has had 47 matches this year with a total of 41 wins and 6 losses with a win percentage of 87%. Now, granted, majority of those matches were in a tag team with Bianca Belair. But she made a killer debut at the Royal Rumble, and she hasn't looked back, man. Her and Bianca Belair have clicked in this tag team. It's unfortunate that they're in a women's tag division that's also pretty freaking irrelevant. But man, just again, the look, the stature of those two and what they've been able to do of what's been given to them, and Jade Cargill with the buzz that she was able to create going into WWE, leaving AEW, and the impact that she has made, she at least deserves, maybe not being the winner, we'll soon find out of who my winner is going to be, but she does deserve that honorable mention. She does deserve a nomination. My third nomination is Chelsea Green. Green,
I totally forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot. But yes, absolutely.
How can we forget our current inaugural United States Women's
You're
Champion?
Right. I blew that one.
She's had 41 matches this year. She's only won 12 of those matches, losing 29 of them with a 29 winning percentage, though. However, a lot of that is overshadowed of how well she has done in this shtick. Even though her character has never meant to be serious and in-ring, being a serious in-ring performer. Hopefully that changes now with a brand new shiny title around her waist. Hopefully that's the case.
It's got to.
Absolutely. And just the shtick that she's in and how she gelled in it and staying in that character, even on social media, and allowing fans to connect with that is just so freaking damn good, man. It's so damn good. And she was one of the two that I was really stuck on giving this award to. But Chelsea Green deserves her flowers. So even though she wasn't booked like a top star, like a breakout star, she made herself a breakout star.
Absolutely.
She deserves that praise. And my fourth nominee is Tiffy time. It's Tiffany Stratton. Yes, she's had 52 matches this year with 13 wins this year, man. And I'm going to get to that. 13 wins. That's right. She is 13 and 36. She's had 52 matches. She's lost 36 of them. She has a 20. Guys, this is your current women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder. She has a total winning percentage of 25. 25, bro. That is, again, your current Money in the Bank briefcase holder, man. That's a different discussion, again, for a different day. But, man, Tiffany Stratton, of course, Brian, you've spoken about it already with Tiffany. But, again, being the gal that's going into this year from, in Australia from, Elimination Chamber and all of these other PLE events, being legit the biggest star, getting the biggest reaction in every matchup that she's in. And now it seems like they're kind of on the perception of turning her face as of right now, going up against Nia Jax, and hopefully, potentially, it's the case to where she's going to cash in that motherfucker, that briefcase, and become women's champion, hopefully in the future. And hopefully they don't keep dragging that out, because the more that they do, not a lot of people are going to be as into it. I mean, we still like Tiffany Stratton. We'll still be happy for her, but the spark of that cash-in is not going to be the same if you keep dragging that out, man. So they got to be careful with it. But she's made a massive name for herself on this main roster, and the booking, does deserve credit for that. She's in these top spots in these these matchups with people like Bayley, people like Bianca Belair, and even people like a Jade Cargill and such, right? She's been booked in these top spots, which also deserves praise for the booking itself. I wish that her winning percentage and her stock would be a little bit higher, but still, man. But what's been given to her, she has crushed it, and people have no doubt. They see the talent, they see the potential in this woman, and it's still going to this day. Even at times, the booking has been very inconsistent, but she has thrived above all of it, and she deserves her praise. And now for my winner, ladies and gentlemen. This was a hard decision, but my decision and my winner for female breakout star of the year goes to Tiffany Stratton. It's Tiffy time.
Tiffy time. Yep.
Yeah, man, I really wanted to give this to Chelsea Green. Listen, if there's Chelsea Green fans out there, listen, I hear you. Trust me. I felt bad for taking off of this award. Trust me. But for Tiffany Stratton, for somebody who has been portrayed as a serious competitor, somebody again who has been in that top spot and has been booking wise, it hasn't been consistent, but she has been in those top spots with those top female stars and making a name for herself. And she still has a really good connection with this audience. Again, like I mentioned with Elimination Chamber and all of these PLE events, right? These media scrums, right? These press conference events, she gets one of the best reactions wherever she goes to. The Elimination Chamber match, she was the top star in that matchup, bro. She got the most cheers in that matchup, man. And it still continues to this day. And you can say that as of right now with Chelsea Green, as that's developed over time as well. But for Chelsea Green, man, and this was kind of like the deciding factor, I can't give the breakout star of the year to somebody that was just treated like a jobber for majority of this year. I can't do it, man. That sucks because she still crushed it and people still loved it. But for being a breakout star, man, it's the role that Tiffany Stratton has been in, giving her this briefcase, giving her some of these top spots, and that is kudos to the booking. But it's also kudos to Tiffany Stratton because, again, everywhere she goes, she's freaking nailed it. And I expect next year when we go over Female Superstar of the Year, which we'll get into in just very shortly, she will be on that list and potentially the freaking winner of Female Superstar of the Year of next year in 2025. So kudos to Tiffany Stratton and kudos to everybody on this list that I have mentioned, man. But it was Tiffany Stratton, and like I mentioned, is what kind of just set the edge for me personally. But kudos.
I gotta apologize to Chelsea Green. I can't believe I shit the bed on that one.
How dare you, Brian?
But yeah, she's but easily if it's not Tiffany, it's definitely Chelsea. Yeah, I can't believe I missed that one. But yeah,
no doubt. Like I said, those were the two who were my two deciding factors, man. It was either Chelsea or it was either Tiffany Stratton for me. But again, kudos to both of these ladies. Again, kudos to Chelsea Green. And, I talked about this championship, this inaugural United States Championship. I still feel like it's not needed because if you really gave a shit about majority of these women's booking over the last, for freaking years now, you would have been booking them properly before this title was even a thing. And because now, and I truly feel like, and Brian, you've even said this too, to where I really hope that this is not a situation to where, oh, here we go. We've given them the title. It's on Chelsea Green. People love Chelsea Green. All right, now everybody can just shut the fuck up and we can just go about business as usual. I really hope that that's not the case, but a part of me feels like that's probably what it's going to be. But hopefully Chelsea herself can thrive above all of that, and her talent and her raw talent can thrive and just thrust herself above all of that. But we'll see in regards to it. But all right, now it is time for the male breakout star of the year. Brian, your winner and your nominations, man. Take it away.
A couple of nominations. Definitely can go with Braun Breaker for one. Again, he was brought up and then kind of there in the middle. Is he face? Is he heel? What are we doing with him? But look, this dude he's got the total package of a professional wrestler, and he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
He's going to, I have no doubt he'll be a fantastic superstar, and he's just getting started. So definitely shout out to him. But really for my breakout star, and again, this is a tough decision for me because it's only been here in the last few months, really. And now this guy is injured, but James, if you do not mind, drum roll, please. My breakout star for the males is Bronson Reed. This guy, finally, he's been here for a while. We've kind of, again, he's had different feuds here and there, but whenever they decided that he was attacking Seth, from that moment on, and to now him joining up with the Bloodline, and again, he suffered the injury, so unfortunately, that'll be a setback, and we don't know what's going to continue with him once he does come back.
Yeah.
But man, I'm telling you, he was just coming into it, like, and that pairing with the bloodline and what could have possibly happened there with like him and Fatu, or just him with the bloodline. I think this guy's got a bright future too, and man, we just started to tap into it, I think, and unfortunately for his injury, but hopefully he makes a speedy and 100% recovery, and we see him again soon. But yeah, he's my breakout star of the year.
Very nice, man. Very, very nice. All right. So I only have 3 nominations for this award, man. Obviously, so my first nomination is Braun Breaker. And I know I've said this a time or two as well, man. I can't stand the booking of this fucking guy. It drives me up a wall that we're doing this tweener stuff with Braun Breaker. But I will say, man, Braun Breaker, he has been, even though I just don't understand his character, but people to a certain degree do dig it. They dig the dog bark, and he has made it. And the booking has been outside of the consistency of the character. They are booking him as that top mid-card talent. As Braun Breaker, statistically, he's had 45 matches this year. He's won 58%. Let me rephrase that. He's won 58% of his matches. So not technically 50-50 booking, slightly above it. So, but at least enough to be in the higher 50% wise. As his final total record, win-loss record, is 26-18. As of course he is the current Intercontinental Champion, 2-time Intercontinental Champion, and hopefully again, man, if the stars align and if they quit this tweener stuff with Braun Breaker, I truly feel, dude, that this dude can legit be a top star in this industry if the booking is going to be done correctly. And so far, man, just hasn't been. It's been the complete freaking opposite with this dude, but they have made him.
He's a guy, dare I say, I know it's early, it's young, whatever, but I mean, the pedigree, the look he has, like Absolutely. 10 years from now, he could be the face of WWE.
No question. And even in a short amount of time, for what he's been able to do, again, using the spear to his advantage, I do like that, in regards to not him saying, a whole lot, right? And even on the microphone, he's not great, but he's actually not bad at all. He's actually
not at all.
He's not, again, he's
way better than his dad.
He has his inconsistencies, but he's actually not bad at all. I would love for somebody like a Paul Heyman to honestly be his mouthpiece still, and to maybe deliver those 1 or 2 liners from him moving forward. But who knows if that's the case. But Braun Breaker, regardless of how I feel about the booking, he under WWE's creativity, they are putting him in as that top star in the mid-card division, and that should at least be, acknowledged, no pun intended to the bloodline. But my second nominee is Ludwig Kaiser. Now, this is mind-blowing, man, and I can't really be shocked when it comes to these stats. So Kaiser, he's been a workhorse, man. He's wrestled 55 matches this year, and he's won, Brian, get ready for this, 9% of his matches. 9%. He's 9-44 this calendar year in 2024. So clearly you can see I can't give Ludwig Kaiser this award. As much as I appreciate Ludwig Kaiser, and I'll be honest with you, I'm thinking more of Ludwig Kaiser lately than Gunther, because the way we've been booking Gunther lately. Again, the potential, no doubt, is through the roof with Kaiser. There's a lot of boxes that are checked with Ludwig Kaiser, but it's that win-loss record, man, and the way that he has. And granted, most of that is because he has been attached to the hip with Gunther, so of course he has to be that guy to take the loss every now and then. But a 9% win-loss record, even though I'm going to give him his flowers and have him be a nominee, I couldn't give him this award, but I will give him the props and the flowers that it's due. And then, of course, my third nomination is Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed, who has wrestled 38 matches this year, has won 42%. So he's even worse than 50-50 booked this year. He's 42%, as he's won 16 matches. He's 16-19 is his record in 2024. But like you said, Brian, I mean, just the moments that he created, starting with Seth Rollins, once that whole shtick with Seth Rollins started, it's been kicking into high gear, man. And we've talked about this mid-card division for a very, very long time. We had Gunther, right, who was my breakout star last year. If you guys have seen TikTok and other social medias, Gunther was my breakout star of how he was carrying himself in that Intercontinental Championship. But Bronson Reed, and again, the booking with Bronson Reed up until that moment has been done very, very well. And again, the moments with Braun Strowman and him doing the tsunami off the hood of the car in the parking lot and actually creating some amplification on Monday Night Raw was because of Bronson Reed. And again, the stature that he held himself with the bloodline and being a part of War Games, of course, the tsunami off the top of the cage. And yes, it's unfortunate with, the broken foot, and he's going to be out for probably God knows how long. But for Bronson Reed, even though this wasn't for the entire calendar year of 2024, maybe about half of it, it's been better booked and it's been better on paper. And what's been better, it's what's come across as really
delivered.
Majority of what this mid-card division has been able to do. And again, that's booking as well as the talent itself. So, and also give he's not on my nominations, but I'll give him the shout out, Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, again, it's just, again, the booking of this dude losing 40 straight matches since the John Cena victory.
After decimating John Cena.
Decimating him, and then this company decided, let's have him lose 40 straight matches in a row, and then we're gonna make him as the tribal.
And then we're just gonna make him the leader of create a new bloodline.
Yeah, exactly, right? It makes perfect sense. It says, right. But still, lately for Solo Sikoa, even though he's not a nominee for this award, I will give him an honorable mention on this behalf, to where as of late, and I've mentioned this, man, he's starting to tap into his own on the main roster. You saw it a little bit in NXT when he started, with the promos that he does cut to a certain degree, and then they kind of made him just like this enforcer. He doesn't talk a whole lot. And then when he did started to talk, it wasn't the greatest. People weren't really connecting with it. But now you can start to see Solo get into a groove a little bit with this character and in this shtick. It took him a while, but now he's starting to gel into it. His stats also don't back it up, but I'll kind of leave it at that since he's not a nomination. But Solo, he deserves the praise, man. I've mentioned about that the last several weeks. I'm going to stay consistent with that. So Solo Sikoa does deserve my flowers, at least what he's been able to do for what's been given to him over the last several weeks. Maybe not this entire year because booking hasn't backed it up, but for what he's been able to do the last several weeks, couple months from now, he deserves those flowers for sure. But my winner for male breakout star of the year, Bronson Reed. That is right, Bronson Reed. Just like you mentioned, Brian, I mean, again, the guy in the mid-card division that has made the biggest impact out of anybody, and it's been the only intriguing portion of this mid-card division throughout this year. Again, a division that has been poorly booked, that doesn't have any legs to stand on, and again, just not a whole lot to just soak your teeth into. But for what Bronson Reed has been able to do, and the booking on top of that with Braun Strowman, with Seth Rollins, using the tsunami splash to his advantage and showcasing that, kind of similar to what they are doing with Braun Breaker with the spear. And I just feel like what edges out a Braun Breaker over a Bronson Reed is that consistent booking, being the diabolical heel and having that momentum continue to skyrocket, even with the matchup against Seth Rollins, to where it didn't do a whole lot of harm to him. And I feel like even from that loss, he was still able to carry that momentum. But the question is now, though, man, because of this injury that he has, can he pick up that steam to when he comes back? And is the booking going to also be up to par when he comes back? That's the question. Because Brian, we've seen in the past to where when people get injured, right, they're on this roll. Becky Lynch was one of them. When she was the man gimmick and the broken nose happened, and then after that broken nose incident, she just wasn't. She's had her moments, but never was the same after that, man. As well as a lot of people that come back from injury where they have all this steam, all this momentum, and they come back and it's not the same. And I really hope that that's not the case for Bronson Reed. And shout out to Bronson Reed. I've actually had the pleasure in speaking with him on social media and speaking with him on Instagram. So I've the pleasure with that. He's a really, really good dude, and he does take pleasure of his fans and people that do support him. So much love to Bronson Reed. And for a guy that nobody truly gave a shit about, including me personally, I didn't give two shits about a Bronson Reed. They even booked him poorly, Brian. I don't know if you remember this, where he faced Gunther for the IC title, and they booked him as the face. They tried to make him this sympathetic character, and the crowd was dead. Nobody gave a shit at all. Like, that's it. That's it. Bronson Reed's done. But somehow, some way, they've been able to rectify that. And what's been given to him, man, he's been killing it. And that visual with him and Jacob Fatu with the bloodline, man, it was so
that's
good.
why when he does come back, I mean, at least initially, like, he has to come back and associate with the bloodline, at least initially.
Yeah.
And where you go from there, I don't know. But yeah, at least to try to get that momentum, or at least keep what you had. Yeah, he has to go back with the bloodline for, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, we'll see how they utilize Bronson Reed when he does come back. It's unfortunate with that momentum. He's probably not going to be a part of WrestleMania, which sucks. Obviously, he's not going to be part of Monday Night Raw's first episode on Netflix. But for this year, man, for majority of this calendar year in 2024, this was his breakout year. And I just hope that when he does come back from injury, they keep that same type of booking for him, and he keeps that same type of momentum rocking, because you can easily let that stuff slide and let that momentum shift the other way if they're not careful. So much love to Bronson Reed, man, for a guy that, again, not a lot of people truly cared about, especially when he came back and he re-debuted on the main roster, and he was aligned with The Miz. And I'm like, okay, do we really care about this really? But moving forward, man, up until this point with Seth and outside of and moving forward after that, he's been doing really well, man. And the booking has been there up to par. I'll give credit to that. And I just hope that continues, man. I really want to see this dude as a big man, right? We don't really see a lot of guys like these big dudes. Like, you know, you're seeing like a Braun Strowman nowadays that's dressing up as Santa Claus. Like, the fuck are we doing on SmackDown? I guess stop. And like, even like people like the Big Show, Kane, right? These ultimate villains, these giants, right? Andre the Giant, you know, Gorilla Monsoon. I can go on for hours. And I really hope that Bronson Reed becomes that, right? Because you do need that in wrestling. You do need that top star, that monster on your roster. And who knows, you know, you have people like Obafemi on NXT. You know, you've had Omos, which unfortunately kind of fell flat on its face. Nobody gave a shit about Omos at all. Because again, there's just not a lot of boxes that Omos just checks off. It's not shade. It's just the unfortunate truth. But so yeah, man, much love to Bronson. Again, also wishing a speedy recovery for him as well. And we wish nothing but the best for him in 2025 moving forward. So much love to him. All right, now we got the heavy hitters now. Our final two awards of this award show, as we got the female superstar of the year. Who was the cream of the crop in this female women's division? Brian, who is your winner? Not honorable mentions. Your floor, man. Take it away.
Yeah, man. So again, there are many honorable mentions. I could go down the list. I'll throw in Io Sky, as she was the women's champion earlier this year. She's had a phenomenal year. Liv Morgan has elevated herself into a superstar now. She's had an excellent year. Rhea still, she's, you know, barring the injury, she's had a great year, you know, all that stuff. But my number one female star of the year, and I've stuck by this woman for years, and finally she's arrived, and that's why I think she's the number one. She's had the best year, because not only does she have to, you know, put on the good matches and the promos and all that, this woman in particular had to live down a lot just to get back to, you know, being a superstar. So drum roll, please, James. My number one female wrestling star is Nia Jax. This woman, Queen of the Ring, women's champion. And again, it's all those things that she had to over the perception of her, to overcome, or not, maybe not even the perception plus some real life things you need to clean up and get better at. And she's done that. Um, so I think she is now firmly established again in the main event picture. She can go kind of anywhere. You can kind of do anything with her now going forward, winning the title, losing the title. So I'm so happy for her to, I mean, even what, like 2 years ago, three, she was out of wrestling.
Yeah.
Largely because of miscues, mistakes in the ring, the perception of her, and all those kinds of things. So to fight back and to not only get back in the business, but to be at the top. She's the number one star this year, man. Nia Jax.
Kudos to Nia Jax, man. And with my nominations, and speaking of Nia Jax is a nomination for my female superstar of the year. Nia Jax, she has been a workhorse this year, man. She has wrestled 62 matches this year. And again, 50% winning percentage, and was 50-50 booked. So again, the booking, even as champion, hasn't been the greatest in regards to that. But like you also mentioned too, Brian, and I'll kind of reiterate it as well. For somebody, even like me personally, for justified reasons, to where I have been very hard on her for trying to do, again, it's not just a fact of just, the botches in the ring per se, right? Because botches happen, right? But it's just that for me, it was the consistent botches, the same botches that she made over the last several years. But she has cleaned that up a lot, and people have seen that, and people have respected that. And now she is arguably, again, the top female star outside of maybe a couple others in this women's division. And there's no doubt she is a better wrestler and a performer now than she was years ago. And that's why she was a nominee for my Breakout Star of the Year. And that's why she's also a nomination for me for Female Superstar of the Year as well. My other nomination is Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, who of course is your current WWE Women's World Champion. She's wrestled only 37 matches, which I'm also surprised. I thought that would be a little bit more, but it's only 37 matches in total. Probably because I believe she developed an injury like earlier on this year before she started the whole revenge tour and the World Championship run. So that would make sense. But she has won 64% of her matches. Not great, but if you're in that 60-70% winning percentage category, I'll take that and freaking run with it in regards to booking itself, as she's won 23 matches out of 11 losses this year. Again, a female that, even similar to Nia Jax's kind of story too, to where she also had to work from the ground up, to where, again, she's always had the potential. I've always seen it. But even during her first title run, to where people wanted it and people got it, and they just completely turned on this woman, and she had to overcome all of that. And 100%. She ended up becoming a world champion once again. It's been, regardless of how we feel about it now, but majority of this year has been 10 times better than what it was that first title reign when she was SmackDown Women's Champion as a baby. With this title, with this feud with Rhea Ripley, and now with the Judgment Day, and how she's been able to be this top star and break that glass ceiling to be legit the top female star, or one of the top female stars in this company. And that's just to Liv Morgan herself, because of all the things that she has done to make her just so damn good, and to legit check off a lot of boxes to where she may not have checked off maybe many moons ago. Many years ago. The potential was always through the roof with me with this woman. And now you're truly seeing her now in the prime of her career, slowly in the prime of her career, is thriving. And I know it's not backing up now, as there's a lot of things that are inconsistent now with Rhea Ripley and that whole story. But this has been the best work that she has produced, and the booking has slightly backed that up to a degree. So that all of that deserves its praise. My other two nominations, and I'll be honest, they were kind of at the bottom of the totem pole. First was Bayley. Again, Bayley, who was, again, your women's champion earlier on this year. She also, again, was wrestling 62 matches. So she was also a workhorse in her own right. 62 matches, and she's won 42 matches out of 17 losses with a win percentage of 68%. that goes back to losing 87% of matches from last year. So to see this number, Brian, is kind of very refreshing because I do love me some Bayley.
Me too, man.
So Bayley at least deserves that praise. And again, for matches that she has delivered with wrestling matches with Nia Jax, even the triple threat match with Naomi and Tiffany Stratton, that was like her first title defense and such.
The Io Sky match at Mania.
The Io Sky match, of course, at Mania, of course, which was honestly probably the biggest, and even the feud itself,
Right, yeah.
Her Damage Control as well, which I also forgot to mention. That was a nomination for Feud of the Year as well. I also have to kind of bring that up as well, Damage Control, as well as Bayley, and how that was able to be produced and how it was put together. But the unfortunate thing for Bayley, man, is that the booking just did not back her up. It just did not. Once that title reign continued, even though she was winning matches, that's great. But what she was involved in and people connecting towards her and the stories, that it was not existent. And I can't take somebody like Bayley and her booking, even though she's winning matches, which is good. That's step one. But everything else also has to back it up, right? The storylines, right? What are you involved in, right? The stuff, again, everything, the segments, like what are you doing? And again, even as a face, right? And I know we've talked about her potentially maybe going back to a heel, but I'll be honest, man. I think she would be fine as a face. You just got to book her properly.
I do too. Yeah.
I don't really think a heel turn is needed, even though the what was it? The ding dong hello shit was freaking hilarious, and she
was awesome.
Into that. But again, she's a woman that we respect a lot because she can do both. She could pull off the face character, the sympathetic character, and she can pull off the obnoxious heel character. And I think that that's what makes us appreciate Bayley so much. But even though she's not the winner for this award, she deserves that nomination.
Absolutely.
She deserves that honorable mention. And the other one is Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair's booking, even though she's been in this tag team, she's been away from the title picture, which is good. But she's been in this tag team with Jade that, again, man, looks like freaking two superheroes collided together, and it just looks so freaking good. It's unfortunate the tag division, again, itself is just freaking horrible. But at least looking within that tag team and what Bianca's been able to do, as well as the hope for who this mystery attacker is for Jade, and that Bianca Belair is a part of it. Maybe that adds a spark for Bianca to where, even though she's in this tag team and it's doing wonders for Jade because it's protecting her, but for Bianca Belair herself, you don't want her to just stay in this tag team to where you're in a division that nobody cares about, and that's kind of being a detriment towards her. So that's also the reason why she's not a winner for this award, but she deserves an honorable mention. She deserves a nomination. She's wrestled 72 matches this year. She's won 85% of those matches. She's 66 wins out of 11 losses. So the win-loss record is there. But of course, we know that majority is from that tag team with Jade, and we know how that's, again, that tag team division is being booked. So because of that, I can't give her this award, but she does deserve that praise. But now for my winner. And ladies and gentlemen, my winner for Female Superstar of the Year goes to Liv Morgan, your current Women's World Champion. Guys, I said it earlier. This is a woman to where not only has she continuing to get better, not only has she's made major steps from what she was last year, fans turning on her as a face, and just being a character to where not a whole lot of people connected. But now, ever since this whole storyline with Rhea Ripley, she has thrived in it. And it's been the only thing that this women's division has anything to stand on. And once upon a time, this was honestly an interesting, captivating feud with Dominic involved, of course, with Rhea Ripley, the Judgment Day, how the turn happened at SummerSlam, as well as with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Once upon a time, the Judgment Day was freaking thriving in the middle of the summer, and part of that was because of Liv Morgan. The promos that she's cutting are better. The matches that she's producing are 10 times better. Everything that this woman has done for the past year and a half, 2 years, has been miraculously better. And the difference is now, too, Brian, is she's got a captivating storyline. Majority of it, of course, we know about it now, but majority of it, a captivating storyline on her resume. and as well as just many matches with people like Io Sky and others that she has thrived in. And now finally, in the first time in her career, going from working at a Hooters, right, years and decades ago, and now here she is, legit, arguably the top female star in this company. And outside of Nia Jax, which I hear you, Brian, there's no doubt I love that pick and I love that decision for that award. The reason why I didn't go with Nia Jax is just because that I can't really, it's what the storyline with Rhea Ripley is what took it obviously. Just how well at times it had its moments within the summer and going into the fall. It's unfortunate about it now, but once upon a time, man, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, they were killing it and they were crushing it. And that women's title had legs to stand on. The women's division had legs to stand on. But most importantly, man, Liv Morgan, for a girl that's she's small. She's not very big like a Nia Jax.
No.
But made her a very believable champion. They made her a very believable contender. And finally, for the first time, she has broken that glass ceiling, and she is now that female. She is that gal.
Yep.
She is the current women's champion. That title reign is probably going to come to an end on that first episode on Netflix, probably against Rhea Ripley. But outside of that, man, she deserves her flowers, and no doubt she has earned this award for Female Superstar of the Year. So yeah, that is my award for Female Superstar of the Year of 2024. And now, the main events, right? The final dish, the main dish, is the Male Superstar of the Year. Brian, your nominations and your winner, man. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I'll start from the bottom on this one, man. So, again, many nominations. CM Punk being one of them. I mean, self-explanatory. What he does in the ring, what he does on the mic, the excitement or the intrigue, just him being him, brings to wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, so he's definitely a nominee. You got to throw Cody Rhodes in there. I'm not, his title run has been lackluster, but he is your champion. He is the workhorse, and he's had an excellent year. You can't take that away from him.
Absolutely.
It's just not, for me personally, the storylines, like I think there's been things that have done a lot better.
That's fair.
But Cody's definitely had a hell of a year. Solo Sikoa, starting a new bloodline, elevating himself now, elevating, but he's, I think they've rushed this a little bit with making him a leader, but he's grown into it. And I think he's only going to improve. Again, I could keep going on. Sami Zayn, I could make a case for. Damian Priest, you can make a case for. But this guy, my number one guy for this year, he started as a tag team wrestler, and he's been a great tag team wrestler. He's been a lackey for a faction. He's elevated himself into the mid-card and become a champion this year. And he's even elevated himself further into becoming main event Jey Uso. Yeet. This guy, I mean, again, it was really hard for me not to give this to Drew McIntyre. I really wanted to. Yeah. Because honestly, if I just storyline and maybe work-wise, I actually probably would give it to Drew McIntyre, considering the CM Punk feud, a large portion of that he carried on his back alone. And as well as whatever, the other thing he's done throughout the rest of the year. But what gives it to me for Jey is just the fact that, yes, Drew's already been there. He's been the champion. He's been in the main event picture. Can't take anything away from him. But Jey has elevated himself now into the main event picture, from a tag team wrestler, a mid-carder, to now a guy who's a believable main event. He hasn't got there to the world title picture just yet, and maybe he doesn't, because right now with the world title picture being what it is, I don't see a role, Jey Uso going after that. But this year, he has established himself into a marquee name in wrestling. So you got to give that to main event Jey Uso.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Shout out to Jey Uso. Yeet. Shout out to Jey Uso.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of Jey Uso, and speaking of my nominees, Jey Uso is one of my nominees. And you want to talk about workhorses, Jey Uso has been that, wrestling 82 matches this year. And he has a winning percentage of 61% and a final win-loss record of 50-31 for this year. My next nomination is Damian Priest. Now, with Damian Priest, man, I'll be honest. For me personally, and I try to put personal bias aside, Damian Priest, man, for this year, for being the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, for doing a very memorable cash-in at WrestleMania, pinning Drew McIntyre, was no doubt a top moment in 2024, and he solidified, whether we like it or not, a top star in this company right now. Damian Priest, he's wrestled 71 matches this year. He's won 63% of those matches, and he has a win-loss record of 45-25. And kind of what just does it for me for Damian Priest, and I'll say it, unfortunately, he did not win this award. He's not going to be the winner of this award, but I will give him his flowers because from last year to where he is now, he definitely broke out into that main event picture. The question is, though, is just how many people truly connect with Damian Priest the way that they have connected with a Jey Uso, the way that they've connected to a Cody Rhodes, a Drew McIntyre, and such. So that's kind of the deal breaker for me, honestly, for Damian Priest, but do want to give him that love and that nomination. My next nomination, of course, is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, again, we talked about with the feud of the year, the match of the year, man. Everything that this dude has touched as a diabolical heel when he's booked right has turned to freaking gold. His shtick on social media, as well as being in the ring. He's wrestled only 46 matches this year. He has a winning percentage of only 35%, and he's won 16 matches out of 29. So that's where, and you'll hear a winner in just a second. That was definitely, I had to really think about, like, am I really going to give the winner to a guy that's only won 30 some odd % of matches this year, even though he's done tremendously well with this heel stuff and with this feud with Punk? Is that the deal breaker enough for me to give him this award? But we'll soon find out here. Next nomination, I'm going to give it to Gunther. Gunther is one of my nominations, wrestling 62 matches, 72% winning percentage, as well as a record of 44-16. It's unfortunate by the end of this year, the booking is just him being a tweener, but majority of this calendar year, man, this dude on a time was a diabolical heel. Freaking trash dudes like Goldberg and freaking Bret Hart. And even people like Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. And it was so freaking well done. And I really hope that this dude his booking is not going to be tormented and botched going into 2025. But up until this point, man, Gunther deserves his flowers, and I will give him a nomination for this award. You mentioned CM Punk, Brian. I can't throw CM Punk in there because he's only wrestled 6 matches this year. And I have to be fair if I'm bringing up matches wrestled in regards to winning this award. I can't really put CM Punk, even as a nominee. I'm sorry, I can't really put him in there. But much love in regards to Punk, of course, his shtick with Drew and everything. But because of that, and even same with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has only wrestled, I want to say 5 matches. 5 or 6 matches as well in this year. So durability has to kind of be in this discussion for me. So unfortunately, CM Punk and Roman Reigns combined, unfortunately, did not make the cut. And then, of course, my final nomination is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, man, who is your current champion, who has now been champion now for a total of 257 days. That is the exact number right now. He has wrestled, guys, 93 matches. He has won 89 of them with a winning percentage of 97%. So even though the title reign itself, and we've mentioned this again like a broken record, and we're going to keep mentioning it through 2025 and beyond. But this dude has been a part of some really good moments, some really good matchups with the likes of AJ Styles, with people like Logan Paul, with people like Kevin Owens, with people like Gunther, as well as many others, man. This dude, it's been his year. They have booked him like a dominant champion, even though the booking of what he's been involved in hasn't been up to par. but people still love him. The entrance is still captivating. People do the whoa in his entrance. You have kids that look up to this dude wearing his freaking shit, wearing his gear. He's legit the top face outside of Roman Reigns in this company. And from winning that championship at WrestleMania, man, this has been his year. And there's no doubt he deserves at least an honorable mention and a nominee. And now for my winner. This came down to at least 3 people, and that was Cody, that was Jey Uso, and that was Drew McIntyre. But as you know, there can only be one winner, right? There's no tiebreakers. There's none of that. There's only one winner. And my winner for the 2024 Male Superstar of the Year goes to the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Yes.
Right on.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to scream at me through their laptops, their phone screens. I get it. Trust me. I get it. Cody Rhodes, as of right now, people are slowly starting to, not fully, but you can see people are just not are with this whole Cody Rhodes shtick and this title reign. That's fair. But guys, I can't disregard the work that he's put in, the workhorse that he has been, wrestling 93 matches and being a consistent champion, a dominant champion for this entire calendar year, as well as the matches that he has produced. The buildup hasn't been there. The booking hasn't been there, but the booking as a champion has been there. The matches with AJ Styles, the matches with Logan Paul, and the matches with people like Shinsuke Nakamura and many others, right? People like Kevin Owens and many others. And it's unfortunate that people want to go after Cody Rhodes and this title reign when, guys, none of this booking in regards to what he's involved in, it's not even his fault, because it's the company that has failed him, that's failed him to not give him top heels to go against, which is why, let's be honest, even though Kevin Owens is crushing it right now in this heel shtick, as of right now, this very moment, they had nobody else to turn. This dude was
that's why he fought Solo 47 times.
He fought Solo Sikoa, and even in a cage match, that was the very first match when SmackDown was on the USA Network, their debut show on the USA Network. Tremendous match, man. Everything that this dude has produced to go out there and put on a great performance, being the dominant champion, being a role model, being the face of the company, the poster boy of this company, it's been his year, man. And I get it. The book, what he's been all involved in, all of that's fair. And I hear where you're coming from, Brian, in regards to Jey Uso. All of that is fair as well. But it would legit be foolish of me to put a guy that is not currently, again, your WWE champion, who's held on to this championship, going on for 300 plus days now, even with segments with The Rock. I can't even disregard that. The championship victory that he had at WrestleMania, and again, all the matchups that he has produced and that he has been involved in, he has been doing a tremendous job. It's unfortunate that the booking, to a degree, hasn't followed up with that, because this company has failed to put top heels in front of him in this company, which is why, again, I keep saying this, man. Brock Lesnar going up against him after he would have won that championship at WrestleMania 39 would have been a great start, but they didn't do that. And I feel like from then on, Cody Rhodes' booking to that degree has been very, very inconsistent, but it hasn't. But again, for what he's been doing, for what he has to do with what's been given to him, he's been crushing it, man. He's the champion. He's the top face. He's the top guy, and he deserves his flowers to be superstar of the year of 2024, man.
Yeah, definitely fair. I can't argue with anything that you said there. I mean, Cody Rhodes, but love him, hate him, like his championship run or not.
Yeah.
This guy is a professional wrestler. And this, he's the guy doing the promo tours, the interviews, the flying overseas, the this, the that, the kissing the babies, the everything that the face of a company has to do. He's knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. And people forget, man, and how good of a storyteller this guy is. You go back to even the segment with Kevin Owens, right? Talking about Kevin Owens. That was probably the best promo I have heard Cody Rhodes cut since he's been back in WWE. I'm talking about going all the way back to 2022. And you're reminded of how when he's been given something properly and he has to deliver, he will freaking deliver. He's always been a good storyteller. He's been a very consistent in-ring worker. He's a believable champion, a believable babyface. And yes, again, the title reign hasn't been memorable. It's been lackluster. All of that is fair. But Cody Rhodes, because of the fact that his merchandise is up, he's one of the top merchandise sellers, as well as Jey Uso is, by the way, too, which is why I have him as a nomination as well. But again, being the champion, getting the loudest reactions wherever he goes to, and doing everything that is prescribed to be a champion in this company, just deserves that type of recognition. I really wanted to pick Drew McIntyre. I really did, because he did everything in regards to activating that people in that story with CM Punk. The problem is because he was out for a certain amount of time after that steel cage match against CM Punk. So I have to put durability as well as just being a reliable talent to go out there and say, hey, we need you to do this, go out there and deliver. And dude, he does it every freaking time, is Cody Rhodes. So for that aspect for Drew, because I honestly, 2 days ago, I had Drew McIntyre winning this.
I was really close, yeah.
I was very close, man. It was between Drew and it was between Cody Rhodes. And of course, Jey Uso was at least in that discussion. But only winning 30 some odd % of his matches and only wrestling barely, not even 40 some odd matches, barely even of that, to Cody Rhodes' 90 plus matches. And I also want to say this. Last year, I had Seth Rollins as the superstar of the year, and I talked about him being the workhorse, being the reliable talent that he was, wrestling over 90 plus matches last year. So if I'm going to give love to Seth Rollins from last year, I have to be consistent, and I have to show that same love and appreciation to Cody Rhodes of what he's been able to do this year.
So did he, because I know you got the stats there, he probably did have the most matches, I would imagine, right?
As of right now, yes. Yeah, as of right now, he has 93 matches in total. And I believe Jey Uso is the closest with 82. As I'm pretty sure. And maybe there's some others that maybe I don't have stats wise that are, of course, currently on the roster as of right now. Maybe that didn't make the cut for these nominations, but yeah, Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, man. Cody Rhodes specifically has been legit, man, the workhorse, bro. 90.
And that's at the end of the day, again, that's what I say, like, that with fandom, right? Like, so take Cody Rhodes' title reign and Roman Reigns' title reign, right?
Yeah.
Both of them, good in their own right, whatever. I would say, like, if you were to give me, like, okay, am I going to choose Roman Reigns' title reign or Cody Rhodes? I would choose Roman for sure.
Right, of course.
However, I appreciate and you got to get back to the days or maybe not even the days. I don't know, because Hogan didn't wrestle much either. But I love the fact that Cody is out there, or whoever your champion is. Like, they don't have to wrestle weekly.
No, of course,
but at least every other week. Like, you gotta have him doing something, and that, I appreciate that about Cody Rhodes. That
Yeah, and you're 100% right too. Like, trust me, like, people wanted to kind of diss at Roman Reigns because he wasn't wrestling a whole lot or whatever. It's like, guys, I don't need Roman Reigns to wrestle like hardly much at all. Like, his stock is like to a Hulk Hogan's, where the same way Hulk Hogan didn't wrestle a whole lot, but he didn't need to, because people were so captivated towards him, and the booking backed it up. And I think for Cody Rhodes' sake, because of the fact that there wasn't top heels for him to feud against, right? There wasn't. I think he had to be that workhorse to show, like, hey, I'm a fighting champion or whatever. But it's not even just about being a fighting champion. I hate really kind of that word fighting champion, because I hear that in a promo on a loop with every single babyface star nowadays. Cody Rhodes has legit been that, man. Even though, and I think he kind of, to a degree, kind of knows that the booking for that championship could have been better. So for him to definitely move the envelope and to be like, all right, I'm going to go out there and give it everything I have. I'm going to give this matchup, this main event matchup, everything I have, even though the booking has been up to par. And like I said, man, he's delivered that. And I think he deserves that praise for the durability, being that, again, that reliable talent, not just champion, but reliable talent to go out there and to put on a performance that needs to be done. And Cody Rhodes for this entire year has done that. And he deserves that.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, but much love again to all of our winners. Much love to all of our nominations. And again, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was our season finale episode of Ruthless Talk, man. And this was our first ever Ruthless Talk award show. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys are tuning in, and hopefully you guys continue to tune in for season number 7, as that is going to come up as of January 9th is when we will start our first recording talking about the first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Of course, we got John Cena's retirement tour. We got a bunch of matches with Punk and Rollins, with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, with Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns, and a bunch of other stuff. The Rock, that's potentially about to come back at some point. So a lot of stuff to talk about. And even with AEW, AEW's got World's End coming up. I'm sure we'll have some time over the next couple of weeks when we are back making podcasts again to talk about that. And again, make sure you stay tuned for our AEW awards as well. We will be giving out male superstar of the year, female superstar of the year. That will be on our social medias on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. And for the people who are on TikTok, if you guys, I'm sure, know by now that this TikTok ban is supposed to be official and stamped as of January 19th. So if you are a follower on TikTok, make sure you follow us on our social medias as well as our YouTube channel. We are so close to 300 subscribers on YouTube.
Nice.
So again, the best Christmas gift that you can give both to us, me and Brian, is to get us to 300 subscribers before 2024 is over. It would be much appreciated to spread the word and to continue to support this platform and to support this community. And to everyone that has, we appreciate you guys. It's been an amazing 2024. It's been an amazing ride. Again, all of the people that have engaged into this platform. Just for this year alone, I've already shared our Spotify Wrapped numbers from earlier on, just a couple weeks ago. And like I said, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have this opportunity and to, again, for you guys to hear our voices, for people that try to put to the best way possible, right? To put our personal bias aside. I talk about numbers and metrics and statistics because I come from a place to where I don't want to just talk about my opinions, right? It's like opinions are like assholes, right, Brian? We all got
absolutely.
Man, I want is to be that voice in the community that everybody can be proud of, right? It's not just about someone's opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have our opinions and our takes, but what I try to bring in is objective criticism to truly help professional wrestling and to be a voice in the community that everybody can be proud of. And I feel like we've done that for now 2 years. And we ain't going nowhere, motherfuckers. We're just getting started. But thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay tuned. And see you next year in 2025. So, Brian, final thoughts, man, before we end the show.
Again, yeah, much like you said, I just want to thank everybody throughout the year. If you liked, subscribed, watched, shared, listened, the guests that we had on here, roundtables, wrestlers. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Hopefully we'll have you on here, again at some point, see you down the road.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just going into next year, man. I mean, that first show, look, a lot of big matches, Rumble's right around the corner. So, the things are going to start to clear up a little bit about directions where wrestlers are going to go. So that first show, Netflix, like I said, big matches, Cena, so a lot of stuff to talk about, man. It's going to be a good show.
Absolutely, for sure. That is going to do it for the final time, guys, in 2024. That is going to do it for today's episode. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
Until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off, saying salutes.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys, we are out.
With the skin is bright and pale, the pain will never fail.